Hey, Zaki. I don't know. Um, did I add you as a oh, how's it going, Daniel? Or Danielle, sorry. Hey, Jeremy, Tanya, Tracy. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, good afternoon.
Thank you for joining. Zaki, I'm trying to see. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. We'll give it a couple of minutes before we start. How's everybody doing? You can drop in the chat where you're located. That'd be great. Me, myself, and Brandon are located in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, college football is getting started. All of
Yes,
our
sir.
fans. So it's a good time. Hope everybody's back to school. It's been getting kicked off the right way. It's a busy time right now, so really appreciate everybody joining.
Jeremy, I'm letting you come off mute. See your hand raised. How's it going, Jeremy?
Hey man, your chat is disabled.
Oh, thank you for that. I don't know why it's this. It should be. Hold on, let me see. Can everybody see the? But you're not able to post anything. Should be.
I can now. It looks like it looks like you can now.
You can't. You can't. Okay. It shouldn't be
Can.
disabled.
All right.
All right. Cool. Brandon, I think you put that was to the host and panelists. You got to do to everyone. Change the chat to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. I don't even see the option, but yes.
You see it? No.
No, I don't see it on my side. I only see hosts and panelists, but
Hmm. That is
here's
weird.
you're the main person. But it's okay.
No, why is the chat? Man? Yes, I can see that. I can see your question, Tracy. The Q&A. But you
Yes.
guys are saying that nobody can chat. That is not good. Thought, hmm, how did I fix this last time?
Might be a setting.
Yeah, I'm trying to see now. Captions. That's weird. Um, Chat disabled, but I'm sending it okay. So the chat is still disabled. That's not good. Let me see. Well, yeah, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box. I am not sure why the chat is disabled. That should not be.
It says open up chat in your webinar. Click on the three dots, more change. Attendees can chat with everyone if that's what. So it might be the three dots in the chat settings, and you can change it to attendees can chat with everyone. Maybe that's it.
Oh, yes, got it. All right, is it open now?
There we go.
Perfect. All right, sorry about that, everybody.
Okay.
Nope, it's right there. Perfect. Hey, from Tempe. Nice.
Here we go. All right. So it sounds like we got to get started.
Thank you all for joining today. My name is Leander Howard II. I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer here at WriteSea. I am joined with my co-founder and CEO, Brandon Mitchell, for today's engaging discussion. We tried to do an Ask Me Anything to be a little more spontaneous and really answer questions that we get a lot on demos. We hear in emails that we hear on social media. So just giving, and then also giving you guys the opportunity to ask us any questions as founders of the company as well. So I have a few questions that I'll ask Brandon throughout the duration of the next hour. But if you have any questions you would like to ask Brandon or myself, please feel free to leave them in the Q&A box, and I will get to it at the end. Give me 1 sec. And then I have a poll before we get started. If everyone can participate really quickly, I would greatly appreciate that. I'm launching the poll now. It's like 5 simple questions. What best describes your role in higher education? What's the biggest challenge your career services office is facing right now? You can select all that applies. If you could wave a magic wand, what's one thing you fixed about career services today? What's the hardest part of proving your career services ROI to leadership? And then why did you decide to join the webinar today? Can everybody see the poll? Nice. Give it a couple of minutes. Thank you for answering. About 50% participation. Nice. We got a lot of career services leaders on the call, some deans, department heads. Oh, we got some others. So if you're other, please drop your title in the chat. I would love to know what your title is, what your role is. Whoever that person was that pushed other. Student engagement, tracking outcomes, stronger employer connections, better data and reporting. Nice. Time constraints when it comes to proving ROI to leadership. Okay. Student follow through. Okay. Why you join? Curious about RightSea, looking for new solutions. We love to hear that. Perfect. We got 2 more. 75%. This is Tracy, Vice President, Academic and Career Pathways at Pinnacle. Nice to meet you, Tracy. Thank you for being here. Curious to know, how did you find out about the webinar? Was it through our email, Tracy, or LinkedIn? Yes. Is that webinar, was that LinkedIn or email, Tracy? If you don't mind sharing. Email, perfect. Perfect. We're at 75% participation. We got a few more people. If you don't mind finishing that. If not, I can get started with Brandon's questions. I'll give it 30 seconds. Okay, cool. First question I got for you, Brandon. Thanks for being here. I would like to start with the RightSea story, man. Let's start at the beginning. So, what inspires you to start RightSea, and then what problem were you trying to solve?
Yeah, Leander, thank you for asking that. I think that's a really great question. I think originally, and it goes back to my background personally, being an ex-career coach and product person, I've always been very passionate about the career discovery and the career preparation journey. Before RightSea, I actually founded a pretty successful professional resume writing and career coaching business back in 2019, where I was helping, job seekers more broadly. So not just looking at students, that being entry-level graduate students, mid-career professionals, executives, and C-suites with their career readiness and their career preparation. A lot of times when when you're a little bit further in your career, you might be 35 or 45, a VP, an executive, you don't know necessarily where to turn for career advice and for high quality career prep, which means that a lot of people end up spending a lot of time on the job market. And most people don't have a lot of savings and or they really need to get back to their career. And so through that experience and helping, one-on-one in New York City in an office, helping people with mock interview practice and with, just high quality resume construction, I kind of realized that it didn't really matter if you were a, executive at TD Bank or if you were a college student. Most people didn't really understand high quality, resume preparation or how to really go about their job search strategy and to getting to, a high quality and a fast outcome when it comes to their careers. And so when we were doing the kind of one-on-one in-person, career coaching, I realized that if I really wanted to impact way more people, it would be through technology and we'd have to scale and build something to be able to do that. And in my corporate career, I actually was an assistant vice president of product at various banks. So I knew how to build technology. I knew how to manage engineering teams. And so RightSea really came from the blend of both of those passions. One, being a career coach that was in the trenches, helping out job seekers, not just students, but executives, but also understanding how to build high quality products. And I said, if there was going to be anybody who was going to build a type of a career readiness or career preparation software, I felt like I had the best mix of both of those skill sets to be able to do that. And so when we decided to start RightSea, the thesis was really how can we scale career readiness and how can we scale career preparation, high quality, but using technology. And at the time, that didn't necessarily mean AI because we started before the AI came, but how can we help more people at scale? And so that was really what got us started. And when you think about helping people, yeah, we could have just decided to help executives or we could have just decided to help micro professionals. But I remember being that kind of high school student going into college, way back when, who didn't really know about internships or externships or work study. And my freshman year at college was what kind of changed my life, where I met a student who helped me out with a resume the first time when I was a freshman. And then that resume that I got help with helped me get an internship my freshman year. Then I got an internship my sophomore year, and I was able to graduate with a really nice job. And that was through having that kind of help. And so when you think about who we really need to help more than anybody, it is college students. So that's kind of really what got us started. And it was kind of personal for me.
Nice. I love to hear that. Was there a moment that you made that made you realize higher education was the right first market? I know you just said college students were probably the most important people to help. So if you can answer that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think, over the last kind of few years, we started to see the market start to shift. And I think that, overall, we saw that hiring, especially for entry levels, was becoming way more challenging. And when you talk to the average college student, yeah, they know kind of a little bit about the resume or they know that they need to get a job. But increasingly, when we started to just do a lot of, kind of, focus groups and different sessions, we realized that college students and, just more of the entry level market, they just don't necessarily know. And I think we were moving into a world where we realized that, especially coming out of the pandemic, what happened when a lot of the career centers were closed? What happened when a lot of the things that were just the normal constructs of how we helped students and how we prepare them were really inaccessible to the masses. And we couldn't have predicted the pandemic. But I think that that was one of the catalysts where we realized that, oh my God, overnight, you actually couldn't even go into a career office. You actually couldn't even come on campus. And so how do you then provide quality, support at scale when all of a sudden it became really, really hard for the average person to kind of do that. And you think about a generation of students that kind of didn't go through the same constructs that we did, we realized that, you know what, that is a market that needs it more than ever. And then when you start to add in a lot of the macroeconomic things that were starting to happen, 2 or 3 years ago, we kind of saw the writing on the wall that, hey, when, AI first came out, people were saying that, hey, this could impact jobs. And again, it's, that's all to be determined. But I think we realized that all the macro forces were kind of converging. And with the pandemic, if that were to ever happen again, institutions broadly need to be able to support, but then students need to have the best services that are 24/7 that can then work with them around the clock. And I think that, for us was like, bingo, this makes sense. Yes, we can help executives, and executives also need help. But that sweet spot and that convergence of college students that really, really need it more than ever, that's coming into maybe a potential harder job market, was when we realized that, okay, higher education makes sense, especially making sure that the students feel supported, because there's nothing like getting that first job or that first internship, because it really sets the foundation for the rest of your life. And,
Yeah.
that personal story of, when I got that first internship, like that is what set me on my path. And I know that when you look at a lot of the statistics, internships are that pipeline to employment. And so making sure that people are supported, they know, how to get to where they're trying to go is really important. So I think that's kind of when we realized that higher ed made sense for us.
Nice. So now we know why RightSea exists. Let's talk about what we actually built. So how does RightSea actually work behind the scenes to support students and staff?
I think it's really easy. I think, when we think about how do we support student and staffs, it's around scaling capacity and scaling support broadly. Kind of what we've built is an all-in-one tool where, if you are a student, it doesn't matter if it's, I like to say, Friday night at 9 o'clock, or it's, Sunday afternoon when a student's like, you know what, I really want to work on my career stuff. I just kind of got this bug that I feel like I need to go and do this. And I remember back when we were in college and, Saturday in the libraries when you're working on your career stuff, you want to be able to have that kind of 24/7 support. Where, when you think about it, you can get in and get that high quality resume support. So everything from, hey, I have a resume that I don't think is really, where it needs to be. So I need to make sure that the resume gets improved. So you can upload it, get a resume scanned, gives you a score, put it into better templates. And even to, hey, I never been on an interview ever in my life. So, giving that kind of mock interview support where they can get on, pick a job, choose, okay, intro call, behavioral, the difficulty level, and then they can kind of get that simulation in real time and get that kind of feedback. And so for a student, it's super simple. They get on there, single sign on, and instantly have access to the tools. And then from a career services perspective, they have all that data. So when they are advising and working with students, they're not starting from zero. They're starting with, oh, you've already simulated 2 interviews. Let's sit down and have that discussion on your results. Or, oh, wow, you've already, scanned your resume. You saw that kind of basic things that you needed to fix. So now let's talk a little bit more strategically about your job search strategy. And so I think in just one sentence, it's like scaling support, but also moving from tactical to strategic support. So, oh, wow, like let's not maybe spend 2 hours on 3 bullet points on your resume. Let's spend that time connecting you with an alumni, at a target company that you might want to work at. Or let's spend that
Right.
time on talking about job search strategy, advanced LinkedIn strategy. And I think a lot of times we miss the basic stuff, and the tactical stuff gets so complicated that we don't get time to do the real fun strategic stuff. And so that's kind of how, from a product and how we're from a support perspective, that it works. And also looking at different demographics, right? So, does support look different for business students versus law students versus fine arts students versus EOP students versus alumni? And being able to kind of segment that out and give different levels of support for the different groups, because not every single student is created the same. You have veteran students that might have unique needs that they don't, that, could be for transfer students. So just being able to meet them where they're at in a personalized fashion, 24/7, around the clock, and just giving that personalized support, I think, is kind of where we decided to support. And we've had some really, really incredible results to kind of back that up.
No, I appreciate that. Now let's talk about the staff side. How does RightSea support career services staff when it comes to like admin, analytics, and tracking student outcomes?
Yeah, and I think I kind of talked on that, but I think it's super simple, right? So as a staff member, you can go in there, you can click on any specific student, you can see when they were last active, you can quickly see, okay, here's their resume, here's their score, here's the things that I was able to program into the tool to say, hey, I personally, from my career center, we want to make sure that every single student has a LinkedIn on their resume. They don't use personal pronouns in bullet points, or we don't want any student that has 17 bullet points on a work experience. Maybe the student just doesn't know. And so being able to like program that into a review and then make sure that every single student goes through that review and then having those strategic conversations about other things that are a little bit more higher quality. And then we see workflows changing, right? So maybe it's like, hey, before, the career fair, now we can say, send an email blast out to say, hey, we have this great tool, simulate at least one interview. So before you get to the career fair, you're a little bit more prepared. And so I think a lot of times staff members like the fact that they can track that, they can assign themselves to student, they can give that support. And more broadly, they're just having more strategic conversations versus a lot of the tactical stuff, right? And so that's kind of the shift that we're seeing a lot of institutions see when they kind of use it, because it's like, oh, I don't have to do this the old way anymore, or we're starting from a position of power versus we're starting at the very bottom. And then when it comes to education with the videos, so we have a pretty broad library of hundreds of kind of 1 to 1.5 minute videos. Even from an education perspective, we see a lot of institutions like, oh, wow, I can make sure that the students, educate themselves, then they can have some of the help. So when they get to me, we're just having more meaningful conversations. And I don't know if a lot of you all have seen, but we did have one institution, Oakton College, one of our early partners, that not only did they really understand that career readiness and career preparation is important, we also co-created a 1 credit course called AI Job Search Skills. And so it's embedded in the curriculum for a lot of their associates programs. So as a student, you actually must go through a 1 credit course where we talk about job search strategy. And so it all comes in different ways. Sometimes it's just the tactical stuff, and then it gets into some situations where from an academic programming, it's embedded into curriculum and coursework. So it just depends, but that's broadly what we see.
Nice. Now, of course, schools ask us all the time on demos, how are you different from the other tools they've seen? So when schools ask how RightSea is different from competitors like VMock, Hiration, Big Interview, or JobScan, what do you tell them?
Well, I tell them that we're the best. But really to kind of get into it, I think, because we come from real practical career coaches that have, years of experience and years of positive success across the spectrum, I think we bring a different flavor to the industry in terms of how we've built some of the functionality and some of the things that we've done. And so when you think about the breadth of functionality and features, I think arguably from a comparative perspective, we just offer a little bit more. So inside of the tool, yes, there's a resume builder. We have a resume chat that you can talk to AI, and you can pre-prompt questions for students so they know what to talk to AI about. They can get the cover letter support. They can simulate interviews. There's questions in there. We track contacts for them. So if you're a new student, maybe a first generation, and you don't even have a professional network, you can have that network housed inside of our tool. And then lastly, you can also, have salary negotiation advice and help. So if you get a job offer, our tool helps you negotiate your salary. So you think and then we have jobs and a job tracker, right? And so you think about just from a feature perspective, there's more there. And then from an integration perspective, we want to make sure that institutions can see the product data with the demographic data. So oftentimes we'll try to work with IT teams so that we can blend that, SIS data, the data that sits in student information systems, with our product data, so you can actually see a real-time view of what's actually going on. And I think that from an integration side, that's kind of also where we shine. We also show up, so we always come to different conferences and do different things like that. But when you think about pushing the envelope on innovation, where, yeah, you can have your own resume templates built in, have a resume review tied to that template. Some of these things are just a little bit more advanced that really push the fold on innovation, I think, is where we kind of differ ourselves. And we like to come on campus and we like to do, on campus stuff. So we always like to do that with our partners. But I think that's that. And then from a support and a relationship perspective, our team is here. We like to do a lot of collaborative working with partners that we work with about new features, different things. We're always like running beta programs. We're launching the RightSea Innovation Council. So I think all of those things combined just kind of put us in a different bucket. And we look at it differently. We don't just look at us as a career services tool, we look at it as enrollment management, right? Like this is a tool that can be marketed to prospective students, alumni offices, like alumni are calling it and engaging more. And so just when we talk to institutions, it's not just one size fits all. We like to incorporate multiple stakeholders because we know how important this actually is.
Nice. I know we brand ourselves as like the all-in-one career services suite. So what's the real value of our all-in-one approach compared to other solutions?
I mean, I think that's a simple statement, right? Like back in the day, if you've been in the space for a while, there were multiple tools for everything, right? So you had your resume builder tool, then you had a cover letter tool, then you had an Excel job tracker that you gave to students. And then you might have told them to have another tracker to track all their people that they're meeting and where they're at and who they need to follow up with and all that stuff like that. Then you might have had a salary negotiation tool. And to be honest, that's pretty new because most times you didn't really have a salary negotiation tool. There used to be like benchmarking tools like salary.com that you would go to and you can see that. Then you got to send students to Glassdoor to look at like interview questions. Then you needed a mock interview tool. So already 7 tools, and I'm not done yet, that you'd have to send your students to different logins, different passwords, different things. And being able to bring all that in one in a very cohesive and beautifully designed manner, I think is the all-in-one approach. And then being able to track and say that the data. And I always joke around, when we get on team meetings and I say, we're not really building a career services tool. We're building a data tracking tool. Because I think that without being able to track the data, all of this is, it's great, but you want to be able to say, okay, this is what happened spring 2025 versus, spring 2026 or fall 2025 versus, so you can see the data improving over time. And I think that's like the value of bringing all things in one.
Nice. Obviously, a product is only good as the team behind it. What makes our executive team uniquely qualified to build the best career services platform?
I think it's because we care, broadly speaking. Like I think the product is the product, and the team is the team. But I think we've done a really good job at making sure that everybody that works at RightSea has some type of affinity and some type of personal, connection to helping students into advancing the higher education space. And I think about, I was a first generation college student who, again, in high school, I didn't know what an internship was. I didn't know what it works. To be honest, I wasn't even going to go to college, but my mother was like, "Oh, you're going to have to go." I was like, "All right, I'm going to go to college."
Right.
And so to go from that to getting a pretty high salary, when I graduated, that I made more money than my parents would not have been able to happen had I not went to higher education, had I not been in clubs and been that student. And I was on the Dean's Advisory Council and I was a treasurer of this thing and I was really focused on my resume. And so I think that not just myself, but you as well, in your story going to Georgia State, and Hansa Rami was our CTO, who actually came to America to study. We care, right? And then you back that up with the fact that we actually worked in career services. We had our career coaching businesses. We've advised students for years. And we really understand good quality design. I think that's what kind of makes our team different. And we're fun. Like if you ever at a conference, we had a really nice party at a NACE that we did. We're part of NBACSCA, AACSB, CIC. I could throw out about 15 different organizations that we're a part of. And I think we have a really good energy. We're high energy, and we're innovative, right? Like we're not here to be the same tool that we were 5 years ago or 10 years ago where you're like, oh my God, I wish they would have changed this. A lot of times if you talk to our clients, like they're like, wow, like you guys are moving fast. And I think that upbeat kind of energy that we want to invent the future, we want to be the leading company in the space is what makes us, I think, qualified.
Nice. And of course, we don't build this in a vacuum, right? So like, how do we collaborate with career centers to co-create features?
Yeah, I'll talk about that broadly. Like we have a feature that I'll talk about right now. So our first client was or partner, client partner, Tulsa Community College, 20,000 students in Oklahoma. And we got on the news when we did the whole announcement. And when we were just getting started, they were like, man, we really love the software. And we love the fact that the AI can generate questions based off of the resume, the job that they're interested in, the type of interview, and the difficulty level. Like that's already super innovative. But they were like, we still want to be able to like can certain questions for students. So let's say, for example, there's an employer that always will ask these 4 questions, or maybe admissions, has a use case where they want to use an interviewing tool for admissions, or maybe there's a certain specific group of law students that law students have to go through these 4 interview questions. They need to be prepared. They need to know how to answer it. We didn't have that functionality when we first started last year, where you can come in as an admin and you can customize and can certain interview questions and set it up into the system and assign it to certain students. And so we went through this whole process of, hey, we mocked it up. And when we were in that mock-up phase, we invited, TCC and some other colleges to say, hey, look at these designs. Does this make sense? Let's have a thought-provoking discussion around how we're actually engineering this. My philosophy as a CEO is let's measure twice and cut once. Measure twice, cut once, so that you get it right the first time. And I think like once we were able to launch it, and now that that's here, they were like, wow, like you actually brought us into the process. You came, you spoke to us about it. And then there's other functionality as well that were pretty impressive, that we reached out. Hey, we're thinking about doing this. We want to talk to some, VPs or directors about it. We want to make sure that we're incorporating you in the process, because that's, we are an extension of, our partners. And so I think that's just one example. And they were really excited. And then we found out that so many other institutions wanted the same thing. And so we're going to continuously do that. And I think it's kind of cool to be part of, features that come out, because, it's always, cool to get your feedback incorporated into what actually happens. And so, yeah, that's just kind of one quick example of how we collaborate. And I think the feedback is important, whether it's good or bad. And it doesn't just stop there, right? Like even when we do our onboarding and our training sessions, which I think we've gotten really, really good at over the last few months. So when you decide to become a partner, we have like an hour, we do 2 1-hour training and onboarding sessions where we bring in all the stakeholders, different teams that potentially will interact with, the tool and the students. And we also I always say that at the end of every single training, please fill out our survey, right? We have a CSAT survey that goes out after training, because we want to know how we did. And so we asked about 4 to 5 questions on the quality of the training. Is the team understanding the functionality afterwards? Because again, like we built this for you to roll out and scale, and we're going to support you, but we are always asking for feedback, that continuous loop of we want to be better in all aspects of what we're doing, because that's how you be the best. You can't be the best unless you're in that constant mindset of self-improvement. And so I think that that's just kind of some examples. It's not just the product, it's also how we show up in different areas across the spectrum. Because, it's not just, oh, do the demo and then you sign up. No, like that's where when you sign up and you do the training and the onboarding, that's when the real fun begins, because you got to get engagement. And we want to understand what is your semester 1 engagement numbers and goals, so that we have accountability together of how we're going to get there. So it's across the board. It's not just, one thing.
Nice. Let's zoom out and talk about the big picture of RightSea. Like, so what's your long-term vision for RightSea for 2025, 2026, and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's really growth. I think the product is maturing. I'm really excited about what we've done and what we've built and the students that use it. We have campus ambassador programs that are rolling out across different institutions. But I think broadly, it's making sure that we are helping out with engagement and making sure that students are using it. They're finding value in it. They're talking to their peers about it, and that we are building the right things for the future, because the world is changing, right? Like AI, although it's embedded into a lot of the fabrics of what we do, it's changing the world. And so how we think about career preparation is also changing. And so I think the long-term vision is just like obviously growth and getting, more partners on board, but it's just continuously leaning in and being part of the dialogue and staying on the innovation curve. I think that for too long, a lot of the different tools and the products out there, like they've just been the same thing for 10, 15 years. And where is the innovation at? And I think for us, it's like doing more innovative things. And I can't say too much, that are going to just continuously push the envelope so that if you are a RightSea institution, like your students have the best and the most cutting edge tools to be more successful in an ever increasing difficult job market. And if you don't listen to me, like the stats just came out at the end of June, the federal government published that the unemployment rate for college graduates is now 33% higher than the national average. And that's the first time in American history that it's this bad. Now, again, what that means is that, you know, the work that we're doing and a lot of the things are more important. So I think it's just like pushing the envelope on innovation. You know, we have a goal of getting to 100 institutions by the end of next year, or 150. And we're on our way there. And I think that's going to become through more systems and things like that. But I think honestly, it's just leaning in, showing up, and you know, doing what we said we're going to do. I think a lot of, you know, higher ed is very incestuous, and it's, you know, you got to show up, you got to do what you got to do, and say what you're going to do, and mean it, and show up. And I think for us, that's that. And there's a lot of features I could talk about, but I think just broadly speaking, it's that in a nutshell. And I think we have a really good vision for where we're trying to go with this. And then long term, you know, we want to make sure that like alumni are supported, and there's a set of things that we're going to do there. And then also connecting more students to, you know, skills that they really need in the job market, right? So I can't talk too much, but I think skills is really important, and it's going to be the differentiating factor for students, and being able to know what's out there, what you need to learn, and have pathways to quickly get up to speed. I listen to a lot of the big AI companies like the Anthropics and the Geminis and the ChatGPTs. And one of the biggest things that they're saying that students need to learn is the ability to learn. Like the skill of learning is going to be the most important thing, to just be able to pick up a new thing and learn it quickly. And we want to make sure that we're helping students not just have the tools to be successful, but upskilling is important as well. And so there's a lot there that we can unpack, but that's what the vision is. It's clear as day to me, and I think it's really exciting times.
Nice. I got a couple common demo questions. We can do kind of like rapid fire here, just to answer questions that we've gotten from potential customers or partners that I think is very important to highlight. So one, does RightSea integrate with existing platforms like Handshake, Simplicity, 1220, or Uconnect?
Yes, we do. So we do integrate. There's ways that you can connect certain things in there. So if a student if you're a Handshake school, a student can come in and pop on the jobs from Handshake, simulate interviews on top of those jobs, create cover letters, all that good jazz. 1220, we have something a little bit deeper. That's like if you're a 1220 school, if you have an API key, you can give it to us. That actually turns on some really cool things inside of our tool that makes the tools kind of talk to each other. So yes, we do Uconnect. There's some things there that we can be embedded into that kind of landing page. We can talk about that. So yes, there are integrations. We could talk about that more.
And then how do you ensure students actually use RightSea?
I mean, I think it's important to, and again, we set semester activation goals. We have discussions with the teams about marketing, because again, it's all about marketing, right? You know, you're the chief marketing officer. Everything's about marketing. So we have that. We assist with, you know, graphics, newsletter campaigns, all that good stuff like that. And then we have functionality inside of the tool for engagement. And so those are some of the things that we do. You can like nudge students, and we're going to be building out more things on the engagement side. But I think you ensure students using it by having a good tool that's easy to use. And so a lot of times when we were just getting started, we did a lot of pilots with schools where we would give the tool to 7 students for 7 days. That was our thing. And we would do a survey that says, how easy was it to use? Ease of use and navigation, 1 out of 5. How was the resume feature? 1 out of 5. How was the cover letter feature? 1 out of 5. And we'd always consistently rank 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 stars on ease of use. So I think the way you get engagement is having an easy to use tool. So that's kind of what we do. And there's more to come.
Nice. And I know you talked about it briefly, but like, what does onboarding look like for staff and students once a school becomes a partner?
Oh, so super simple. So single sign-on takes literally all of 1 to 2 days. So that when a student does come to your landing page, they could just enter in their email, and then they get authenticated, and then they go through the onboarding flow, and then you're good to go. For staff and admins, we do a 1 hour training. We do 2 of them, that's included, where we get on, we walk through the whole tool, we answer questions. We actually did like 3 trainings this week that all went really, really well. So that everybody's up to speed on how to use the tool. And then we have support there that, we have training guides for admins, for students, for staff, like the whole thing is there. So that's kind of what onboarding looks like.
Nice. And then what measurable results can schools expect in terms of like placement rates, engagements, and then staff time saved?
Yeah, I think, every institution is different in terms of what they want and what they're going to get. But broadly speaking, I think you hit it on the nose. Like, if students are using the tool, they should be landing more interviews. Full stop, right? If students are using the tools, their interviewing scores should improve because we track that. So if you simulate an interview in our tool, and if we have some time, we're going to show you how the tool works really quickly. You can get a score when you simulate an interview. It's about an 8-minute interview. And so when you look at, okay, fall 2025, we had 7,000 students simulate interviews. The average score was like 40%, but they kept using it. They kept retaking it. They kept implementing the feedback. By spring 2026, scores improved to 75. That is a story that a president, a chancellor, a provost can get behind, right? So those are the types of measurable outcomes that we're looking to track and provide. And then like resume, and then usage overall, like how many people are using it, who's activated, how many cover letters were created, how many resumes, how many jobs were tracked, how many salaries were negotiated. So that, all those metrics are available in the admin portal. And then we're also able to connect with APIs. So our full APIs infrastructure is available. So you can actually connect to our APIs and then loop that in with all of your data lake or your data warehouse data. So you can really see some interesting things if you use Tableau or you use, Snowflake or any type of broader database, data warehouse. You can connect all the data to see some really interesting things. And what we really want to get to and do case studies on is like, this student, if a student does this, and this, you are 60% more likely to get this, and this outcome. And like from a data-driven perspective, that's the language that we want to talk. And so that's why we're so data-driven in how we think about things and on the innovation side, because like that's what really pushes the space forward, is being able to objectively say, if you do this, and this, you're more likely or less likely to get to this, and this outcome. And so that's kind of, it's like how we're talking now is like how we talk to our partners, because this is how we believe like we should be thinking about data and analytics and results. So that's kind of how we think about it.
Nice. No, I appreciate that. We got a couple questions, but I think everybody wants to see the product, and I think the questions will be answered
Yeah,
by you
so
demoing the
let's go
product.
ahead and play. Let's go ahead and play this quick 3-minute video that goes over the product. It's like a 2-minute video. It's amazing. We show this video every single time that we do a demo. We're talking to a president, provost, dean, VP. This is a video that I think is really, really, really helpful, that will show the product in a 10,000-foot view. And then obviously we can always do things afterwards. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Want to make sure that people can hear the video. Looking for the settings for
the share sound. You see it on when you share a screen, you do share sound on like on the far right.
Yeah, because we're on the Zoom
on the webinar.
Different, but
no, I have it on my end to share.
Meet RightSea.
Oh, we good. Yeah, okay. We can hear it.
Great.
An AI-powered platform designed to save your students time and help them land more interviews. From crafting perfect resumes, generating personalized cover letters, acing interviews, to negotiating salaries, it's all here. Let's start with the resume. Your students can upload an existing resume or create one from scratch. They have the flexibility to edit all personal details, but here's where the magic happens. With just a click, the rewrite feature provides enhanced suggestions for bullet points that instantly make their resume more compelling. But we didn't stop there. Our advanced rewrite tool takes things a step further by asking follow-up questions, just like a career counselor would in a one-on-one session. It digs deeper into each bullet point your students write, prompting them to clarify their impact, outcomes, and specific contributions. This guided experience transforms vague responsibilities into structured, achievement-based bullet points that stand out to recruiters and hiring managers. The result? A sharper, more impactful resume that truly reflects their value. Need help creating or optimizing their LinkedIn headline or career story? No problem. WriteSea does it for them instantly. Now, on to cover letters. By selecting a resume and a job, your students can have a customized cover letter generated within seconds. They can adjust names, tone, or length with ease, turning what used to be a time-consuming task into something quick and efficient. Now, let's talk about finding the right job. With the job feed, your students can search thousands of listings and instantly see which roles are the best fit based on their resume. A personalized match percentage helps them focus their time on opportunities where they'll stand out. Smart filters allow them to narrow down roles by industry, experience level, or location. And when they're ready to apply, they can generate a tailored cover letter in seconds, eliminating the need to juggle between multiple tools. It's everything they need to apply smarter, all in one place. Preparing for interviews? Simply by entering the job description, WriteSea generates relevant questions and sample responses to help your students prepare. They can even simulate a real interview and receive feedback on delivery, nonverbal cues, and vocabulary, with detailed reports that highlight areas for improvement question by question. After the interview, when it's time to negotiate salary, WriteSea goes beyond helping students craft the perfect counteroffer. Our AI salary negotiation assistant reviews and negotiates key job details like vacation, compensation, work schedule, and benefits, ensuring your students get the best offer with just a few clicks. And for your career services team, WriteSea includes a powerful admin dashboard. It gives your staff real-time visibility into student activity, who's building resumes, applying to jobs, practicing interviews, or requesting support. Filter by class year, major, or engagement level to identify who's on track and who might need a nudge. No more guessing games, just data-driven insights to help you scale support and improve outcomes without increasing your workload. In short, WriteSea simplifies every step of the career readiness journey for both students and staff. It's powerful, it's fast, it's efficient. Schedule your demo today at writesea.com and discover how your institution can graduate students who are truly career ready.
So I hope that was a helpful kind of quick video on kind of what RightSea actually is, what the tool does. It's very powerful. This didn't even go through every feature, but it did go through a lot. If you want some more information on, you want to watch the video again, it's just writesea.com for higher education. I'll drop Leander if you want to drop the link in the chat. And yeah, 24/7 boost career outcomes, enhancing efficiencies. But yes, that's what the product does. And let's go back into some more of the questions, Leander.
Oh no, they want to see the product.
Oh,
Like if you want to, yeah, like that's pretty much what they want to see.
okay,
Yeah.
so we can go.
Yeah, like give it like a quick 10-minute demo.
Okay, yeah, the video.
Yeah.
Okay, he's like, yeah, the video was not enough. Okay, great. So
Right. Yeah.
when an institution is logging into, or student is logging into the tool, it can be completely white labeled. So you can put your logo, your color scheme, your branding, all the good jazz. SSL would allow them to not need a password for the tool. Once a student logs inside of the tool, they get access to their own personalized dashboard, right? So they can see how many resumes that they've added and they've created, how many jobs that they're specifically tracking in their job tracker, how many cover letters that they've specifically created on their side. And we do have that job tracker. So if they are applying to jobs on LinkedIn, Handshake, The Muse, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, CareerBuilder, MarketingJobsInOhio.com, we do track they can track all their jobs everywhere. And then we give that full visibility to you guys as well. When it comes to the resume functionality, there's two things that happen. If you're a first year student, so we have a lot of first year programs that are like, oh, we want to make sure that first year students are on the right track. They can create a resume from scratch inside of the tool. And we have helper text that walks you through how to use everything. What makes our tool really different, even from a resume building perspective, is this kind of left and right approach. So as you're building out the resume on the left side, you see it building out on the right. And you can swap through various templates that we have, but you see all the different sections: work experience, education, skills, projects, certifications. So you can quickly build a really high quality resume from scratch if you wanted to. But if you were a student that's like, you know what, I have a resume, I just want to make it better, you can upload it inside of the tool. And then the real kicker is in how we use AI. So from a bullet point perspective, we have this AI rewrite button on every single bullet point. And as you saw in the video, if it was a super simple bullet point like this, did various tasks to help out with security monitoring, participated in some meetings about new security tools. These are very vague bullet points. The AI engine is trained to think like an executive resume writer, recruiter, career coach, and it'll give 3 different suggestions on how to better improve it, reserving places for you to quantify. So it doesn't do it for you, but it starts to give you how to put it into a better framework. And then with the advanced rewrite, it's going to probe you with 3 questions, asking you more to pull things out of you that you've actually done to then help you craft better bullet points, which is an ethical use of AI versus a student going into ChatGPT and saying, here's my resume, here's a job, make me a better resume. You do not want your students doing that. And so that's how we approach resume support with our tool. And then you can also scan your resume and get a score and all that good stuff like that. Cover letters, super simple. You come in, you click new cover letter. You can choose between multiple resumes in the tool. We don't cap the resumes. A student can have 20 resumes, 5 resumes, 10 resumes. So you pick the resume that you want, you add in the job. So what you can do is you can go find a job, let's say Airbnb careers. You can just go drop in the URL from that listing, or you can paste it in from Handshake or wherever. And then once you have the job and the resume, you click on generate new cover letter, and the tool starts crafting a really concise cover letter that's pulling in things from your resume, from the job description, and it instantly creates it. You can read through it, you can edit inside of the system, change the tonality, the length. So no student will ever have the same cover letter, and it saves so much time when it comes to creating cover letters at scale. And then I'll just talk about the mock interview. This is my favorite part because the resume and the cover letter gets you to the interview gets you the job. We can all agree that's the case. But most students, especially Gen Z or college students, they're not interviewing experts. So you come in here, you click on new mock interview, and this is where it gets really exciting. You can pick on any role. Let's just do associate lawyer. I have a ton of different jobs in here. You can say intro call, situational, cultural fit interview, behavioral, difficulty, beginner, intermediate, expert. And the system is trained to know your resume, the job description, the type of interview, the difficulty level. You click on continue. Now you get on camera. You can see the synopsis. You're going to get 4 questions, 2 minutes each to respond. And you click on begin interview. All of our AI models start working on the back end. It crafts an interview in real time for that student instantly. And then they can start answering the questions. And so it is generative AI. Students get really excited because they don't know what it's going to ask them. It's not canned or whatever. And then they can start asking the questions. I'll just do 1 or 2 questions.
Can you describe a time when you had to conduct comprehensive legal research for a case? What was your approach and what were the outcomes?
That is a phenomenal question. As an associate lawyer, conducting comprehensive legal case analysis is part of the thing. So, typically we would review case law, look at certain precedents of past cases. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm probably not getting the job. But you can speak our AI models will analyze and transcribe it on the right side. You can answer the question again if something goes wrong. Let's just hear one more question.
Imagine you are tasked with drafting a contract for a new client.
Okay.
What steps would you take to ensure that the contract is thorough and legally sound?
That is a phenomenal question. Drafting contracts is a really key part of being a lawyer. First I would talk to the client about their needs, understanding the problem in the situation. I'd also start to think about, what's the end result? What's our argument? XYZ 1, 2, 3, right? You got to kind of get the gist of things. And so they can go through this, they can answer the questions. And then at the end, I'm going to show you what the feedback looks like. You kind of saw it in the video a little bit, but this is where we're making a massive impact across institutions. When you go through the full interview, you get a personalized paragraph and a score. We're rating you against how you did across all 4 questions and all 4 answers on the left side. So like an overall synopsis. And then on the right side, you can see every single question with a personalized paragraph, a score, and how you can improve question by question. So you might have bombed question number 1, but you did really, really good on question number 2, and maybe did a little bit better on question number 4. And so being able to simulate and practice these interviews in the comfort and the security of your dorm or your house, or maybe you're a transfer student, you're a commuter student, like that's where this is scalable. And then, you might have bombed the first time. So you can retake it up to 3 times. And then being able to show on the back end and the data where people are at, how they did, and it's super personalized because it knows you, the resume, the job, the type of interview. And so that's like the mock interview tool. And we're really excited about this. And some institutions are making it mandatory. You cannot even graduate across our institution unless you simulated 1 interview, because your students are your product. And if you're putting, unprepared students in front of employers, you're hurting the brand of your institution. So I know that was a kind of quick and dirty. We got jobs inside of the tool. They can see jobs. These jobs are coming from our job partners. These are like job boards and job feeds that we aggregate and we pull jobs in. This is just a supplement to whatever, career job portal that you're doing today. And then there's a few other things like salary negotiation. We can analyze a job offer and give you suggestions, give you a call script to have that negotiation conversation. Everything is personalized. And you can even keep your professional network in the tool. So a personal CRM for every single student that tracks the people that they're meeting, what's going on. So I hope that was a good, 10,000 quick kind of demo. We can get into the weeds on every specific feature. But this is the tools that institutions are putting in front of their students. And so the students that are using these tools are going to be way more competitive than students that are not. So I hope that was helpful. Leander, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm going to bring up there are a few people that have questions. So Candace, I'm going to bring up Candace. She has a few questions she wants to ask as well. You should be able to.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey,
Yes, ma'am. How's it going?
Thank you so much for your time today. Yeah, I had a couple questions because I did see that video before signing up for the demo. And I noticed with your resume tool and your cover letter tool that with your cover letter, you're able to include the job description and you were able to kind of customize it with the cover letter. Is the same, do you have that capability for the resume tool as well to like show those keywords and qualifications and kind of suggest in the resume they also put that in there? Is that a feature by chance?
Yeah, so you can go to the AI chat functionality and ask specific questions about your resume to pull certain things like that out and to get some additional feedback. Because I was showing you the resume builder, but we also have a resume chat where you can ask it questions, and you can even pre-prompt questions for the students that'll most likely give them exactly what you're talking about. And then they can go back to their resume and then implement those changes in those feedbacks.
Okay, awesome. I have a couple questions. Sorry to take up time. But can you also extract the resume file in like a bulk format on the staff side? So if I had a group of graduates that I wanted to like grab a couple cyber folks and send it somewhere else, is that have a capability of extraction?
Super simple to pull resumes out. So you can filter, get your list, and then just download the resumes and easily put it into the whatever file or resume book that you have for your students, for your employers, or whoever you want to give that to. Yes.
My last question is on your interviewing tool. So I saw your demo just now. Are you able to prompt it to ask and start opening the conversation of salary, since a lot of places now are just bringing that up in the first interview, not to waste anyone's time, helping that graduate be able to have that conversation at an interview level versus at offer time?
So, and that's what I was talking about, how you can now can questions. So if you want to set up a specific interview just around salary questions and how they will answer that, you can definitely do that. The AI generated interview is not going to ask about salary, but that's that new feature that we launched where you can just set up a custom interview asking salary questions. You can technically do that and they can answer, and then you can see how their feedback is on answering salary related questions.
So with those canned questions that we would put in, would we be able to also give like canned responses after they've practiced, kind of like how your AI gives feedback about what you could have said and should have said? Do you have that capability too, or is it just more of it's going to ask a question and we get to listen to the video later?
You get to listen to the video, and then what we're launching is an ability for after the students go through the interview, a pop-up is going to appear that says, hey, would you like to talk to a career services team or et cetera about your interview or about your skills? And then they can like book a meeting. So we don't just have like a send feedback functionality inside the tool, because we know that everybody communicates feedback differently. Some are like come in person, some are email. So our main thing is to push them to schedule a meeting if they feel that that's what they want to do. But all of that data is available in real time in the back end for you all to see. So if you want to communicate or reach out to a student, et cetera, you can definitely do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Candice.
Candice, question. Are you still there?
Yes.
You mentioned the feedback loop. Is that like, can you rank that as a priority from like 1 to 10? Like, how important is that for you to have?
For us, it's pretty high priority, but not highest. We do have our own course that we prepare them. So I'm looking at this more of a possible integration into that preparation course before they meet with us for advising work. So I think that would be very helpful for instructors that teach that course over us as career advisors to be able to give that kind of feedback within the course, and then of course make the meeting with the experts to get that more one-on-one.
So would the instructor be mainly using it for feedback, or career services mainly be using it for feedback, like two-way communication with the students?
I would say instructors, but then
Got
also
it.
we could use it, especially if it was after hours or something along those lines where we needed to give that feedback to them timely. Maybe they have an actual interview coming up and we weren't able to connect before then. It would be great to have that kind of quick back feedback for them to have available to them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I think Tracy left. Anthony, I answered his question, I believe. Anthony, did you have any other questions? Anybody else have any questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, and I'll just quickly answer this last one I saw, the anonymous. We used to partner with Big Interview. We could build interviews and assign them to candidates who were interviewing. Yes, and that is possible with the feature that we just launched, where you can set interviews for that. You can actually build custom interviews for anything, admissions, salary, questions, and that's why we actually built that feature. And so yeah, we have that, and then we have educational videos as well about just different topics, interview, cover letter, resume, etc. So yeah, we're like Big Interview times 100. But yes.
Perfect. Well, no, thank you, Brandon, for taking the time to share your insights about RightSea. Thanks for everybody for joining. We put some links in the chat for you to schedule a demo, connect with us on LinkedIn, reach out to us via email if you have any follow-up questions you want to ask. Again, thanks for everybody for joining, and we'll see you guys on the next webinar.
Thank you, Leander. Bye, everybody.
Talk soon. Thank you, Tanya.